producers have suffered serious losses over the last 2 years. This year must convert buildings to meet new welfare regulations. Industry stakeholders must recognise the need for credit to get this job done. IFA is continuing to explore all avenues to increase profitability and reduce costs. Our DNA traceability programme will shortly be fully operational. Our aim is to stop pig meat imports masquerading as Irish and undermining the value of the Irish meat. Both pig and poultry farmers will benefit from reduced bureaucracy and lower costs as a result of IFA's recent negotiations on EPA licensing. IFA has secured a 2012 price increase for Carton Group poultry growers. Prices for all other groups must also rise. Grain prices have continued to perform well despite volatile markets. IFA has promoted the advantages of forward selling as a mechanism to combat volatility. Farmers have responded well, and up to 30% of the 2011 harvest was forward sold. To allow growers manage their costs, farmers also need access to forward contracts for fertiliser. On malting barley, IFA has established an excellent working relationship with Boar Malt, and growers have benefited from the commitment to this important sector. The unrestricted power of retail multiples continues to be exercised at the expense of primary producers, in particular fresh produce including liquid milk, potatoes and vegetables and other horticultural products. Last May, as you saw in the video, over 10,000 farmers took to the streets of Dublin to voice their anger at the massive abuses that retailers are allowed to commit against their suppliers, week in, week out. In the wake of our protest, Enterprise Minister Richard Bruton gave a firm commitment to publish Fine Gael's long-promised legislation to regulate the retail sector by the end of 2011. The Minister has failed to deliver, and farmers' patience is wearing thin. Let me state our demands again. A statutory code of practice is required to provide a more equitable share out of the consumer price across the food chain. We need an independent retail ombudsman to enforce this. The ending of the groceries order was a bad mistake by the then government. The new government is currently preparing a minimum prices order for alcohol to deal with the problems created in that sector. There is a strong case for the inclusion of fresh produce in any ban on below-cost selling. In the mushroom sector, the government must immediately resolve the funding delays for producer organisations. The relentless rise in input costs, particularly for energy and fertiliser, has the potential to seriously erode farm incomes, despite increased commodity prices. IFA is putting increased resources into driving down margins on inputs and delivering price information to members. Excuse me. Thanks. Get myself lost here now. Yeah, price information. Excuse me. In order to empower farmers to bargain for the best available deals. Farmers and businesses are doing all they can to cut costs and improve their competitiveness. This is in stark contrast with government-controlled costs and the regulated sectors. Examples from the National Competitive Council show electricity costs for small and medium enterprise are still in the top third in the euro area. Our broadband has the slowest download speeds and highest costs than other European countries. Waste charges are coming down, but not fast enough. It is time for the government to get on with this job. The importance of farming the sea is finally being acknowledged. In 2011, the European Commission and the Irish Government gave commitments to increase farmed seafood in an effort to redress the huge 80% import deficit on the European market. Irish fish and shellfish farmers can play a major role in this expansion. I welcome the interest taken by Minister Coveney in this sector. It is now up to the government to attract investment, speed up licensing and give the industry the tools it needs to create more jobs and exports. Ireland's clean green image is a major selling point for Brand Ireland. We can grow our production and achieve our Food Harvest 2020 targets sustainably. Last year, IFA came out strongly against an irrational climate change bill. The bill collapsed because it would have destroyed our growth prospects. Environmental Minister Phil Hogan has recognised the importance of food security and Ireland's potential for growth as a sustainable food producer. He must pursue environmental and climate change policies that take full account of the rising global food requirements and give Ireland credit for the carbon sink in our grassland and forestry. On land improvement regulation, progress has been made in achieving more workable guidelines and thresholds. However, further adjustments are needed, particularly where drainage maintenance and repair is required. It is up to the Department of Agriculture to hold information meetings to communicate directly with farmers and advise them how the system will work. Rural dwellers need clarity on the proposals for the regulations of septic tanks. Householders who need to upgrade their system must be supported through a retrofit grant scheme. This would also boost employment in rural areas. Our Environment and Rural Affairs Committee will also be demanding action to ensure that essential rural infrastructure and services are properly maintained. Last year saw a major initiative by the Farm Family Committee and IFA to raise awareness about farm safety in the high-profile campaign launched by then-President Mary McAleese. This year, IFA is committed to a renewed campaign to keep the safety message in front of farmers. Awareness is the only way forward, and I commend the Health and Safety Authority on their current media campaign. The government's turf-cutting restrictions are a major concern to the communities involved. I have met Minister Jimmy Deanahan, and he must be put in place a proper compensation package as detailed by IFA. The same principles of compensation must apply for all environmental designations, and we insist on a fair appeal system. At this point, I want to thank all the council members who are stepping down from their positions at the AGM. I particularly want to mention the outgoing National Committee Chairman, who have put a huge effort in on behalf of farmers over the last number of years. First of all, I want to acknowledge Michael Doran, outgoing Livestock Chairman. Secondly, I want to acknowledge Tom Thurley, outgoing Rural Development Chairman. Next, I want to acknowledge James Kane, outgoing Farm Business Chairman. I want to acknowledge Pat Farrell, outgoing Environmental Chairman. I want to acknowledge Pat Hennessy, outgoing Forestry Chairman, even though he'll be staying on a bit longer. And I want to acknowledge Pádraig Mulligan, outgoing Liquid Milk Chairman. I want to thank each and every one of you, those chairmen, for the huge contribution they've made, and I appreciate all the support you give me and working together as a team. I'll be making presentations to retiring county chairmen later on. I look forward to working with the new national chairman, and I will be meeting you individually in the days ahead. The fact that the IFA has over 90,000 members and 4,000 voluntary officers representing all farm enterprises and all regions makes IFA one of the most democratic and representative organisations in Ireland and in Europe. The voluntary officers and staff play a vital role in defending farmers' interests both in Ireland and in Brussels. At the end of 2 years, I want to thank you all for the huge support you have given me up and down the country. And certainly, I appreciate it. I have to say, any time I asked any commodity chairman, county chairman for support, whether it was lobbying or buses or whatever was required, I got the full support I always required up and down the country. And I can assure you that it's fully appreciated. We have a full work agenda for 2012. at the top of the agenda, my priorities are securing a positive outcome for the CAP post-2013 negotiations and protecting our 1.7 billion national envelope, defending vital farm schemes, and last but not least, maximising commodity prices for producers in every sector. By continuing to work together, we can deliver on these issues. Thank you.